Hey guys, how's it going? So a lot of you guys like budget pistols, a lot of you like 9mm, and a lot of you are looking for a concealed carry pistol. So I thought this would be a good time to talk about a budget gun that actually has a rebate going on right now, and this would be the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield. Now I'm going to cut right to the chase. This video is being recorded here on the 28th of November. Happy Thanksgiving, guys, by the way. Hope all of you are having a good time with your family and friends and loved ones. But there's a $50 rebate going on these until December 8th. So you have about 10 days until the rebate expires. And these are currently being sold online in several places for $250. So after your $50 rebate, these become a $200 gun. And for those of you that know about Smith & Wesson, that's a pretty good deal for a Smith. So I thought we'd talk about this gun, and many of you have just purchased these or are thinking about it. And even after the rebate's over, I thought you guys might still want to hang out and talk about this pistol a little bit. So before we do much more though, I'm going to unload this gun because it is loaded right now, both in the magazine and in the chamber. There we go. Now, why is it loaded? I don't usually just load my guns up before I do a video, right? We're clear now, guys. All clear. Well, this has become one of my carry guns. And I did a video a while ago on it. Maybe I'll do another one later. But I have this nice burn work jacket that has what they call their adder system. Rip-away pockets. There's a holster in there. Anyways, this is a gun that I'm carrying as a secondary, pistol for the winter time. So this is a gun that I trust with my life, and I like it quite a bit. So you guys can decide if you like it or not, but obviously it's something I would recommend because it's currently one of my daily carry guns. Just went into the rotation recently, guys. So basically this is part of their M&P line. We have the M&P 9 Shield. Now these are available in other calibers such as 40 and 45, and they even have the Shield 380 EZ. This is the one I have, and this is the original version. There's also an M 2.0 now, and you guys can look at that one as well, but I don't have one of those. So this is the one though that is on sale right now for like $250 with the $50 rebate as of the 28th of November for another 10 days, right? So what do we have here? Basically we have a subcompact slimline pistol, meaning it's rather short from front to back. Overall length is like 6.1 inches, okay? It is rather short from top to bottom at about 4.6 inches if you're using the flush magazine, which is 7 rounds. So it comes with one 7-round mag. We'll get to the mags in a minute because they're kind of neat. It also includes an 8-round mag with a little grip sleeve, a spot to put your pinky on. So with the 8.1, we're looking at about 5 inches tall. Now, the thing about this gun is it's actually very thin, coming in at an overall width of like 0.95 inches. So anytime you can get a pistol that's thinner than an inch, it fits very well in the hand, first of all. Nice and small. You can definitely get to the controls very easily. Also, it conceals very well. So, as far as I'm concerned, the thinness of the gun is one of the most important things when it has to do with how well I can conceal carry it, right, in a holster. Also, the height from the top to bottom. And with this having the 2 different lengths of magazine options, it can be quite small and handy. Now this is a polymer frame pistol, striker fired, featuring a stainless steel slide. Now the slide has this coating on here that they call something fancy. Smith calls this their Armor Night Durable Corrosion Resistant Finish. I assume this is a type of like melaniting or nitriding. Smith & Wesson with their fancy names for stuff. You guys know what I'm saying. But the finish does appear to be very nice. It has a matte finish. The texturing on the grip, I actually think is quite comfortable. With how thin this frame is, I'm able to get my hand around it in a manner where I feel like I'm in control of the pistol with no problem, and I don't necessarily need a real rough textured finish. Now, if you want the real rough, gritty sandpaper texture, They do have the 2.0 version of this that has a much rougher grip on it. That one's not on sale right now and doesn't have the $50 rebate that I'm aware of. It may, but I know this one's the one you can get for $199 right now. So the texturing's plenty for me along the back strap, coming over to the sides, and again from the front strap grip area over to the sides. So quite comfortable. I'm able to access the mag release very easy with my thumb, which does have some of that same textured finish, so that's also very nice. I would also note that where the thumb interacts, as well as my forefinger on this side, my shooting finger, right? There's a little bit of a recess, a little concave curvature in there, which just makes my finger and thumb just fit very comfortably, naturally, and allows my finger to very easily sit at the ready position and then enter right into the trigger guard if I need to fire a shot. So very nice. I really like it when manufacturers and designers take the time to put the little recesses and curves in there just in the right places where it makes the gun just kind of mold to your hands. And that's a good thing with this Smith. It is very, very comfortable. Now let's go up here and take a quick peek at the slide, guys. So like I said, stainless steel slide. According to them, I would note I have a magnet here. It is a magnetic stainless steel slide. I guess some stainless is magnetic, some is not, and some stainless can rust and some does not. So you guys that know about metallurgy probably know more than me, but stainless can mean many different things. But according to Smith, we have a stainless slide. We also have a stainless barrel, which is 3.1 inches. You can see it's got an external extractor right here. I would note there's no physical type loaded chamber indicator, but it does have just a hole in the top there, right above the chamber area where you can spot a loaded round, assuming you have enough daylight. So some of you guys will like that because it makes it a little more slim and low profile. Other people will have the personal preference of having the loaded chamber indicator that actually pops up so you can feel it if there's no light. But that's what this one comes with, so that's what you're going to get. The sights are a 2-dot in the rear and a single dot post in the front. And I would note that both the rear, there's a set screw here, is adjustable for windage, as well as the front sight is also driftable in a dovetail. So you can drift the front or the rear sight or both, which is kind of nice because some pistols, especially $200 pistols, have more of a fixed sight system in the front. So always nice to have some options there, right? The slide serrations, they're more of a wave, like a wavy feel, which kind of looks weird at first, but they're kind of recessed in to where when you grab it to pull from the back, your fingers naturally bite, and I found they're comfortable enough. There's no front cocking serrations, which is okay with me. I know some people would prefer if it had that, but I'm fine with it. I would note right away, on the initial racking of this pistol, it has a very strong recoil assembly, like stronger than most I'm familiar with 9mm, and it just means a couple things. It means, first of all, when you're going to rack this gun back, you got to have a little oomph to it. I'll give you guys an example. A good friend of mine, she's a little bit older lady. She has arthritis in her hands and such. I took this pistol out to her house because she was in the process of getting her concealed carry permit here in Michigan. And I said, well, this shield might be something she might like. Well, after we messed around a little bit, there was no chance. She could not rack this slide. And I think that's why they came out with the EZ. But for most of you guys, if you don't have any disabilities or just, weak hands in general, you're probably not going to mind that. And you're probably going to like the fact that this has such a strong recoil spring because it's going to help mitigate recoil somewhat. Not that 9 has a lot of recoil, but let's face it. As long as we can get the power out of our cartridge, we'd probably take as little recoil as possible just for simply faster follow-up shots and being able to get back on aim easier with less flip and recoil of the pistol. So very, very heavy recoil spring, enough for me to definitely note. Much harder to pull it to the rear to engage the slide catch. So it has a slide catch over here, which will also couple as a slide release. I would note the release is actually kind of hard to use, and it's almost recessed. There's just enough of it sticking out there that it does serve for holding the slide open, for checking your chamber, things like that, disassembly. But it's not the most ergonomic slide catch and release, but this is fine because the purposes of this gun is to keep it as slim as possible for a streamlined carry, and they're trying to keep the snag points down. And you'll find this with a lot of smaller, concealed carry slimline pistols. This model here also has a frame mounted safety. Now these are available with and without safety. It just appears to be the ones I'm seeing the good deals on right now are the ones with the frame safety. So we can see a safety here in the rear mounted into the frame. It's just a simple click up. And I would note again, the safety is almost recessed, where you have to kind of know that you're turning it on. And I know a lot of you aren't necessarily fans of having a safety on your striker fired pistol, but some people it's kind of a must. So again, there's two different models. The deal that I know of right now is with the safety though. But when you go to brush it back off, it's pretty natural. Not as easy to brush off as a 1911 or anything like that, but it definitely has a more deliberate push up. So you have to use about twice the force to engage the safety as you do to disengage it, which this is a good thing because you want it to be easy to swipe off when you're drawing your pistol and getting ready to use it in potentially a life-saving situation, right? But you don't want it to just accidentally get barely touched to move up. So you guys can see here, I'm kind of brushing on it. It's not going to move up. You have to knowingly and willingly push up on it because it's almost recessed. Now once it's in the safe position, you'll see that it kind of leaves the recess and you can easily get to the top of the safety to brush it off from the edge of the slide. So the safety's doable. Whether you guys like safeties or not, I don't know. That could be a deciding factor for some. Whether it has it, some people would say no if it does have it, right? Some people don't care and you can work with it either way. I'll leave that up to you guys. But it does have a safety. It also has the takedown lever. And I'll show you guys that in a little bit. And speaking of comfort, before I forget here, I mentioned, the 1911 style safety. Well, you're not going to get a safety like that on such a slim gun. And most people probably wouldn't want it because it would make it where your holster has to be really bulky and wide. And this gun's less than an inch thick. So it's a slimline, compact, so whatever. But I will tell you one thing this does share in common with the 1911. Now, everyone has a different preference, but many people say the 1911. If you guys like this gun, by the way, it's the SDS Import 1911. And I did a video on this just a couple weeks ago, so you guys can go back and look at that if you like this gun. But one of the reasons why the 1911 is considered so comfortable, and everyone says it just points naturally, and this is the grip angle that many people believe is the perfect angle for them, is because it has this 18-degree grip angle. Look it up. It's a famous thing, the 18-degree grip angle of the famous 1911, right? Well, when Smith was designing this gun, they decided to go with the same 18-degree grip angle as the 1911. So whereas the controls are going to be different, the weight, certainly the size, if you're actually looking at the grip angle itself, let me see if I can get the camera to see this, guys. You're going to notice they're actually basically spot on. So if you like the old 1911 tried and true 18-degree grip angle, you're going to find yourself right at home. And many other guns also use this 18-degree angle, so you're going to find this to be very comfortable and kind of feel like you're at home right away when you grab this from other, pistols that you've shot in the past. So I thought that was kind of cool. Now the trigger. Everyone wants to know about the trigger. Well, this pistol, again being striker fired, does have a trigger safety. Now wait a minute, there's no blade there. Well, no. Now with your Taurus G2C, G3, G2S, there's a blade, right? Here's my G2C, guys. There's a blade that has to be engaged or pressed in before you can pull the trigger back. This is doing it, instead of using the blade, you'll notice right here the trigger's two pieces. Okay, this is referred to as a hinged type trigger. Now we're going to look behind it here and you can actually see a little piece of polymer. So if we grab the top of the trigger here and try to pull, see how that piece of polymer is hanging down from the top of the trigger shoe area and it's blocking it from going into the frame, right? Now, when we depress the bottom, it is going to slowly move that little piece of protruding polymer that we can see there out of the way. See it move out of the way? Now we can pull the whole trigger to the rear and fire the pistol. So, see how it moves it out of the way? Just another way of doing it. Instead of having the little blade safety, like a Glock, other guns, etc., we're just hinging the bottom piece and allowing the clearance now for it to go through. If you inadvertently just hit the trigger from another area besides the actual proper firing position, that piece of plastic that's protruding is going to physically stop it. So we have a trigger safety on this. We also have the frame mounted, low profile, somewhat recessed frame safety. And we also are going to have a drop safety that's going to be within the slide here, which again, we'll get into the inside of it in a minute. So let's take a look at it with the 2 magazines. We have the 7 round. This is for the most compact type of carrying, a little less round capacity, but there's our flush fit. This is what's going to get us in at like the 4.6 inches or so from top to bottom. Still feels very comfortable. I would note, like most compacts, I can barely get a pinky on here, like half of a pinky. Some of them it completely swings on the bottom, so this is better than some. I can get just enough of my pinky where my pinky's still serving a purpose. And I would note, it also helps that there's a little bit of an undercut underneath the trigger guard here. See how they cut in a little bit there? This helps me get my middle finger up just high enough where I can cheat half my pinky on there. And I found shooting the pistol is plenty manageable like this. More concealable, but not quite as comfortable as if I go with the 8 round magazine. Now, with the 8 round magazine, no problem at all. I can get a full pinky on here, and the pistol basically comes right down about flush with the bottom of my pinky. So, this is good. I like how they actually give you an 8 round instead of just 2 7 rounders with a pinky extension. Pinky extensions are cool to a point, and don't get me wrong, a pinky extension might make it a little easier to conceal than making the whole gun longer, but not much. And if I'm going to have part of the frame protruding down, this is just my opinion, I'd rather get the extra round. So I do like that they're giving you the options, and that they are indeed giving you 2 magazines for this sub $200 gun after rebate, right? So this is pretty cool. And while we're talking about the magazines, this brings up another interesting thing. So let's take a look at those real quick. Okay, so when it comes to magazine technology, there's generally, and I'm going to emphasize generally, 2 different types. There's your single stack and your double stack. And I've brought 2 props out here just to illustrate the couple different types of magazines. Now, the real reason is I like guns, and I like as many as I can, like all of you. So we're going to look at a couple other guns real quick here too. So here we have my Steyr M9. This is the 1st gen, the original ones that were brought into the country. If you guys are interested in more about this gun, let me know in the comments. I'd like to do a video on it if anyone would be interested. But the main reason it's here right now is this has a double stack magazine. We'll look at this in a second. Now I also have a Steyr BM chambered in 9mm. Great old military surplus pistol. I just did a video on it like a week ago. If you guys are interested, go check out the channel. You'll see it there, right? Now this is here because it's cool as heck, but back on topic. It's here because this has a true single stack mag. Now, the Smith & Wesson Shield has basically what I call a stack and a half, or you can call it a staggered single stack. So it's not quite a single stack, and it's definitely not as wide as a double stack. And let's take a look. So we have our single stack Steyr BM magazine. These are all 9mm guns. Now let's look at it compared to the Smith. You can instantly see that the Smith is noticeably wider by approximately 50%. Now let's come in here with the double stack Steyr magazine, and we will see right there. So single stack on my left, stack and a half in the middle with this shield that we're talking about, and then a double stack. So what does that do? Well, it's not quite as slim as this, but it's going to hold a little more rounds, but not as many rounds as this, but not as thick. So it's kind of cool how Smith basically put these stack and a halves or staggered single stack mags in these, just to get you that extra round in there without making the gun unnecessarily thick. Because back to this again, one of the main features of this, it's less than 1 inch thick. Not many guns can do that. If you wait around till the end though and you want to see yet another gun, I think I showed you 4 so far. I'm going to show you a 5th one in the end just for a little comparison. So just to keep you guys watching a few more minutes. I know it's hard to keep you guys, but just hang out with me as long as you want. That's always the case on these videos. Alright. So 8+1. Stack and a half mag. 7+1 flush fit. But actually, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. And I can do a whole nother video on this later. If interested, as always, just let me know in the comments. There's a cool item called a mag gut. I love mag guts, okay? Basically, it's a replacement spring, follower, and floor plate that's sold for many popular guns. I know I have one in my Kel-Tec P380 that's in my pocket right now. They're also available for these shields. So what this does is they have 2 different types. The kind I'm using is what I call the round for free option. Free? Well, no, the mag guts aren't free, guys, but you get a round for free, meaning by me just simply swapping out the OEM or the stock follower, spring, and floor plate, I'm able to now fit 9+1 in this 8-round mag without it extending down at all. So this is the same exact size, and here's a comparison. I have a brand new in the box M&P 9mm shield. This is for this gun, right? These are going to be the same exact size, like literally 100%. But I now have 9 rounds in the mag. As you guys can see earlier, I had a round in the chamber. I'm not going to get into that debate, but I always carry a round in the chamber on any concealed carry pistol. So now I'm carrying 10 rounds in my shield. You could also put the mag guts in the flush fit and get 8+1 instead of 7+1. So I love mag guts so much, and they've been great for me. You guys can decide on your own if you like them or want to trust them, but there's some other YouTubers I know that really, really like them. You guys know Ozark Yemen, by the way? And if you don't, you should definitely go check out his channel. He's a really good dude, okay? That's in the gun community, you know, in the YouTube world here. I know I was talking to him about it, and he carries one of these shields, and he loves mag guts. So if you guys want to go over there to his channel and talk to him about what he thinks of mag guts, just for someone else's opinion, I'll leave the link to his channel down in the description. He's a good dude, though, and I think a lot of you guys already know him. But anyways, yeah. 9+1 with the mag guts. Great option for a decent amount of ammo in my opinion, a very, very small package. So just giving you guys another little tidbit there. Now, let's take a look inside and see what's going on. So this is where the, even though it's a little hard to use because it's kind of recessed, but it's good because it's snag free. It's that whole, there's no free lunch with guns, right? You want it slim, the controls are going to be slim. I'll take it because I want this gun to conceal carry easily in the front pocket of my jacket without it making me look any fatter than I already am, right? So I'm going to pull the slide to the rear. Lots of recoil force here. You got to pull it all the way back. This is a tough spring. Okay, so we've got it locked in the rear position. Now we have a takedown lever. You'll notice there's a little recess in the slide here. Make sure you're lined up where the front of this is in with that recess. And if it isn't, well, your slide's probably moved forward, but you guys get the point. So I'm just simply going to grab on here. There's a little bit of a grip here cut in here, a little bit of texturing. So I'm just going to slide this down where it's completely now perpendicular rather than being parallel like it previously was. Okay, so now that we have the pistol with the slide locked open still on the slide stop and the takedown lever in the down position, we actually have 2 ways you can take this pistol down, and I'm going to show you guys the recommended method. Now, most striker fire pistols, we would simply just let the slide go forward, pull the trigger, and pull the slide off. This has a feature that Smith & Wesson built into it, and this is the way that they're going to tell you to, you know, remove the slide. So I'm going to show you that. And this is basically a safety feature they've built in to where you do not have to pull the trigger to take this gun down. Now, I don't know if my camera's going to pick it up, but we're going to look down inside of the gun here. And we're going to see our ejector, which is right here. It's just not going to pick it up, but you guys will see it a little more in a second once I take this apart. Well, there's the ejector. We can see it right there. Okay, right below it, there's a yellow painted little lever. This is called a sear disengagement lever. So I'm just going to go in here with something like this small screwdriver. You can get right in there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the camera to see it, but I'm just going to pull down rather. So I'm pushing it down into the magwell. This little yellow painted lever. And now we can see it is down in the magwell. Now this is your sear disengagement lever. It's really easy to do. You can just barely push down on it. Don't push down hard on this at all, guys. It's a very, very thin gauge little lever. But you can see it right there below the ejector, right? So now what we're going to do, don't let it just fly forward. Just pull back to the rear so we can feel our slide stop disengage. You'll feel it click. Let it go forward. Now we can just continue to pull straight off the front. And we've now separated our slide assembly from our frame. And let's take another look in there real quick. But before I do, guys, if you guys want to help out the channel, I'm trying to do a lot of stuff, bring a lot of cool stuff in here, and I've been putting out videos almost every day. My Patreon link is down there in the description. I'd appreciate any support. It'd be awesome. For those of you already supporting me, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. And if you don't have any extra money, that's cool. Just give it a like if you like it. Tell your friends about the channel, and if you're new here, maybe consider subscribing. Thanks, guys. Okay, now we can clearly see that little lever. It is now in the down position. The way it looked when it was assembled, we'll see it better just because the slide's off. You guys will see this in real life so much easier than the camera can pick it up. Basically, it started off in this position right here, where the yellow was facing towards the sky or right towards the top of your ejector. This is your ejector, by the way, guys. This big, solid prong of steel, if you will. This is what kicks the round out after the extractor grabs it. It chucks it out of the pistol. So there's that. And all I did is with this little yellow lever, I just took a screwdriver and I just pushed it down. Okay. You can even kind of get your finger in there at this point. Now that it's in the down position, that's how I was able to release this slide without pulling the trigger. Of course, if you want to, you can also do it the conventional method. Make sure your pistol's unloaded. So many people supposedly fire unloaded guns while they're cleaning. I don't even want to get into that. That's ridiculous. Your gun should always be unloaded before you're doing any of these things, obviously. But you can, if you want, not even mess around with this and just pull the trigger and the slide will come off too. That's up to you. This is the way Smith is going to tell you to do it. So, kind of a cool little feature, guys. So, let's take a look here at the polymer grip frame. Everything's looking pretty good in here. Pretty standard for your, most of your striker fire pistols. We are going to see that we have steel rails on the front portion of the frame. When we go to the back, we're also going to find steel rails here and here. So we have 4 points of contact with the slide, metal to metal. That's always a good thing. We can see our trigger bar here moving, along with our disconnector and our sear, which is currently not connected right now because of that little disengagement lever that we pulled. So you can kind of see the travel right there of how this actually works. Your return spring right there on the front. Trigger return springs moving in and out. So this is good. This actually has like somewhat of like a little chassis system. This is going to pull out and somewhat larger pieces rather than each individual piece. You guys will see what I mean. We're not going to take it down that much, but we also see a little U-shape that you'll find on some of the Glock pistols for reinforcement. There's a piece of steel right there in the front area where it's interacting with the locking lug. Basically, in this pistol, your takedown lever, when it's flipped up, acts as your locking lug to keep the slide from going forward off of the frame of the pistol. So that's kind of how that works in there. And I always think it's nice when they put that little U-shape piece of steel just for some extra reinforcement. So everything's looking pretty good inside of here. Not a detailed overview of all of the internals, but just thought I'd show you guys how to take it down, what it looks like inside. Alright, here's our slide assembly. We're looking at a dual captive recoil spring. This isn't really going to pop out, guys, but still keep your face away from any spring. It's not under a lot of pressure when it's in this position, right? When you haven't racked the slide back. Although, like I said earlier, this is a very, very robust spring. We can see that the outer stage of the guide rod is encompassed by a flat recoil spring. So these are flat coils, very similar to what Glock's been using for all these years. I'm a big fan of flat recoil springs. I think they're great. So we have a steel outer guide rod with a flat steel spring. The inner guide rod, which is also steel, has a round coil spring. So this is kind of your typical dual recoil guide rod assembly with progressive rate springs that work in conjunction with each other to basically act against the recoil of the 9mm round firing. So nice guide rod assembly. I'm really impressed with these flat springs. Everything's all steel. Some pistols run great with polymer. Like look, Glock uses a polymer guide rod, at least on their older ones, just a single polymer guide rod and spring. The Taurus G2Cs, G3s, G2S that I really like, those use half and half. Polymer for the small one, and then steel on the outside. That's fine too. But this is a really nice setup. And it just depends on what the manufacturer engineered it for. There's certain schools of thought on whether you want polymer or steel, and they both have their advantages, but this is quite the spring. I know I've said that like 3 times now, but I've never had a Pocket 9 with such a stout spring on it as this Smith & Wesson Shield. Just like any other pistol, you tilt up and lift out the barrel, which they say is stainless steel with their fancy coating that I'm going to guess is some type of nitriding. Some people call it melaniting, some people call it tenifer. Everybody has to have a fancy name nowadays for everything, right? But yeah, there's our barrel. Looks pretty good. The machining on the inside of this is very nice. I see no types of flaws or marks or anything like that. You can see where it looks like there was some hardness testing done on this slide. And Smith & Wesson does brag that these have HRC of like 68. I noticed that in the Smith & Wesson spec sheet. So I believe those are actually hardness testing marks. If they mean something else, let me know, guys. But yeah, fit and finish is very nice on the inside of here. You can see the brass residue from the bottom portion of the slide that covers the striker channel. You can see where it's rubbed on some brass in the past. We'll also go back here. We'll see our striker channel. And our striker, which appears to be of a stainless steel. Here's that drop safety I was talking about, otherwise known as like a firing pin block safety, or in this case a striker block, meaning if you're not acting on the trigger so it can push this little button in, this is a spring-loaded button, the striker's not going to be physically allowed to fall. It's stopped right now by this spring-loaded little mechanism here. So that means, in theory, and I have no reason to doubt it on this, these have not had any negligent drop discharges that I've heard of. No matter how hard you drop this on the ground, whatever were to happen, it cannot fire until the trigger has actually pushed that little guy out of the way to allow the striker to then fall. So that would be basically the third safety on this gun. It does caution us right here that this is capable of firing with the magazine removed. I don't really like the big billboard, but if it, I guess, whatever. I don't like the billboards. But just a reminder, guys, this does not have a magazine disconnect safety. So you've got the 3 safeties here. But yeah, like I said earlier, the scallops feel very good. The overall fit and finish, the actual protective coating, I'm again going to call it nitriding for lack of a better word, looks really nice. So let's throw it back together here. Wrap it on up, and I'm going to show you how it compares with another pistol some of you guys are familiar with. So you guys probably know how to do this already, but you're going to take the smaller little cap end, push it towards the front. Just push a little bit of pressure on it, and it's going to ride right on the front here of the locking portion of the barrel. Make sure it's centered. If it's not centered left to right, you're not going to be able to put your pistol together properly. So there we go. We're just going to make sure we start off with our 2 frame rails going into the 2 dovetail cuts in the rear of the slide. We're just going to pull it back here. Just make sure everything's lined up good, and it is. Now I'm just going to pull to the rear. I'm going to press up with my thumb on our slide stop. Now we are going to keep it to the rear like this. Don't let it slam forward. I wouldn't want the slide to go shooting off, right? And we are now going to take this from its perpendicular position back up parallel again. Now our takedown lever is going to stop this slide from, flying forward. We're going to let it click up there. There we go. Now the pistol is assembled. Now one more thing. Remember, we used that sear deactivation lever. Well, right now we have no sear in this pistol. Well, we have one, but it's not connected, right? So what are we going to do next? Well, you need a special tool, and it's a proprietary tool, but it's already one that you have if you own this pistol. At least I hope you have it. If not, you're running around with a single shot. And if you're going to use a single shot, why not just get the biggest, huge, like 77 caliber musket pistol you can, right? Now, we have the magazine. That's the tool we need. All we're literally going to do is just push the magazine in like we normally would. And just by the magazine going all the way up into the mag well and through the frame of the pistol, it is now going to push that little yellow rod back up where it should be. And we're going to confirm here, yes, it is indeed right where it should be. Will I be able to get it on camera, or do you guys just want to take my word for it? Just take my word for it. The yellow lever is now in the up position. All right, now our trigger's working again. We're going to rock the slide. Everything's functioning properly. Now, one more thing. Trigger pull. What does it feel like? Well, let's see if I can talk you guys through it a little bit, okay? All right. Remember, this is the trigger safety. So see how that little piece of plastic that's protruding up there? We're going to press on the shoe like we normally will. We'll watch that little blocking piece of plastic go away. Okay, so I'm pulling, I'm feeling a wall, a little bit of creep, a little bit of a creepy up to the wall, a little bit of stacking there, but I feel the wall. I'm going to continue to pull, and it's rather crisp. I'm going to say rather crisp. This is not the best striker fired trigger I've ever had. I'll be honest with you guys. Not the best trigger. It's rather light, but it still has a decent amount of poundage to it. Smith & Wesson says it's 6.5. We're going to measure it in 1 second. Now let's check the reset. Again, the reset isn't real defined. So I'm going to try it again here. I've pulled the trigger. We're going to rock the slide to reset. Let me see if I can show you guys this. All right. So right now, we're going to let it out here. See, it kind of just jumps forward there on me. Let's see if I can do that again. Now, this isn't terrible, guys, but it's not that. See? It just kind of like kerplunks back out. Definitely does not have that real tight little clicky reset that some striker fire pistols do. If that's a deciding factor for you guys, there are aftermarket triggers for this. But I will note it does have a trigger stop here built into the frame that's going to stop it from over travel. There's a little nub on the bottom of the trigger, and also it interfaces here, so we don't really have over travel. Here's the deal, guys. If you want to know my opinion on the trigger, I'm not going to change the trigger on mine. I actually think it's just fine. I know it sounds like I ripped on it, but I just want you guys to understand. In my opinion, the Taurus G3 that I've done videos on, go back and check if you guys are interested in my Taurus playlist, has a much better trigger than this. But this is a self-defense gun, and I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but once you're actually out there shooting at the range, you don't really notice the little intricacies of the reset as much. And as long as the trigger is decent and it doesn't have tons of grittiness and tons of stacking, it's just fine. And this is kind of a from me to you type gun anyways. Your adrenaline's pumping. Are you really going to notice how precision the trigger is? I don't think so. That's just for me. But that's why this is great, and I'm showing you guys lots of different guns on this channel, because ultimately it's up for you to decide. So the trigger's plenty doable. I'm leaving the stock trigger in. Is it a great trigger? No. Is it even a good trigger? I don't know. Maybe an average trigger, if you just wanted my honest opinion, okay? It's not the lightest trigger ever, which I don't mind for a concealed carry gun. So that's not bad to me. Does it have a little bit of stacking when it gets to the wall? A little bit. Is it crisp? Yeah, it's crisp enough, but not nearly as crisp as some other pistols. The reset is kind of more of just like a little clunk rather than a tink, like how some of you guys like. So just trying to describe it the best I can. Let's try my brand new trigger gauge. All right, so let's take a look at the actual weight of this. I have to grab the bottom of the trigger with this because it has that hinge on there for the safety. And I'm showing 6 pounds, 2.8 ounces. Let me try it again. Not real good at using trigger gauges on camera, guys, but we'll figure it out eventually here. 6 pounds, 14.1 ounces. I may have pulled that one a little bit too far. 5 pounds, 15 ounces. Yeah, this has a 6 or so pound trigger. Not quite so bad though. I don't mind it. I will say the shoe is rather wide and very comfortable on my fingers. The pistol itself is pretty light. I think it weighs in at around 19 ounces. So if you're looking for something that's like around 200 bucks after rebate, I think these are pretty cool. 7-round mag, 8-round mag. Get the mag guts like I did. If you want to cheat and defy physics, you can go 9+1 and 8+1. Everything seems pretty well made, you know. It definitely feels pretty good, and it's amazing some of these guns we're able to get for like 200 bucks right now, guys. And the other gun I wanted to show you just as a comparison, so we're going to put the 7-round magazine in the pistol, is the Taurus G2S, which is basically a direct competitor to these two. Okay, we're going to look here from front to back, and I would note these have very similar grip angles. I'm going to try to get them lined up as best as I can. The Taurus in the front here. The Smith. Very similar from front to back. Up and down, almost identical. And the thickness is almost identical. So these are two very, very comparable pistols. These can be purchased, I've seen, as cheap as like $180 or so right now online. I'm just going to compare apples to oranges. Hopefully you guys are getting good deals at your local gun shop, because that's who I'd prefer to support. But about $180 or so right now. I've seen these for up to $200 or a little more online. These, the cheapest I've seen them is about $250 right now online, but with a $50 rebate. So I know you're fronting your money for a while and you'll get the 50 bucks back, but it's an easy online rebate. When I bought this, I had a rebate for it too. I actually bought this last Black Friday season, right? So 200 bucks after rebate, a little under 200 bucks without having to screw around with the rebate. If you guys want me to, I'll do more of a side-to-side comparison and compare and contrast these in another video. The point here is, basically it's about the size of a G2S. So I thought that was pretty cool, because I just did the video on the G2S, if you guys missed it, just a couple weeks ago. Back to that famous Taurus playlist, you'll find that video there. So yeah, guys, I'm liking it. I trust it for a concealed carry. I don't have a problem with the gun at all. Let me know what you guys think. Very comfortable in the hand. Everything seems to be pretty much good to go with this guy, and any kind of pistol for under 200 bucks, you know, it's pretty cool. Alright, well, I'm sure I missed something. If there's any more questions, leave them down in the comments, and yeah, let me know if you guys want to discuss this any further. I'll take it out to the range and shoot it soon, so I'm definitely planning on doing at least one follow-up. I've already shot this gun before. Didn't even really think about doing a review on it, to be honest, until some people have been bringing these up lately in the comments saying they're thinking about getting them. And I said, shoot, I better get this right out to you guys, like literally right now on Thanksgiving, so that you can have some, maybe you're getting in the arguments at Thanksgiving dinner on gun rights and stuff. No, you guys aren't doing that. Nobody's going to do that. But if you're bored later on after dinner and you guys want to watch a gun video, I thought I'd put this up for you. And especially since the rebate's going on right now and you've got about 10 days left. If I wait a week, it's like, hey guys, there's a rebate, but you've got 3 days left, so whatever. For those of you watching this after December 8th, 2019, hopefully there's rebates in the future. People might be watching this years from now, but as of right now, there's a rebate. And if it's after the fact, hopefully you guys just like the video anyways, you know. I know I've enjoyed hanging out with you guys, as I always do. So, alright, go back and eat some dessert, guys. Eat some more food, whatever. You guys deserve it. It's Thanksgiving, and we're all very thankful for our family and our friends and for this great country, this republic, as Benjamin Franklin said, if we can keep it. So let's be real thankful for our freedom, guys. Let's not take these guns and gun videos for granted, because in much of the world, people can't even sit here and hang out with their friends and talk about pistols like this. So I'm thankful for many, many things, including you guys. Alright, thanks for watching, and have a good one.